Welcome to Quiz Time. I'm your quiz master, Sean, and I've got 100 questions for you. Trivia about general knowledge. Could be anything. So let's dig deep into our brains, give them a workout, keep ourselves young, and have fun, shall we? Okay. In the early 1900s, what unusual method did British farmers use to predict the weather for their crops? Timing of how fast the cows lie down, noting how pigs sniff the air, or weighing the morning dew? How'd they do it? Timing of how fast cows lie down. Okay. Before modern traffic signals, what unusual method did Londoners use to regulate busy intersections? Police waving colored flags, gaslit semaphore arms, or bells rung by shopkeepers? And they regulated those intersections with gaslit semaphore arms. In the 1950s, what was the unexpected use of Coca-Cola in American households? As a cleaning solution for coins, as a remedy for hiccups, or as an ingredient in hair dye? They used Coca-Cola as a cleaning solution for coins. Which famous structure was originally criticized as an eyesore and nearly dismantled? Was it the Eiffel Tower? Was it the Empire State Building? Or was it the Sydney Opera House? Which one was an eyesore? The Eiffel Tower. It's still debatable. Why did the British government encourage people to drink gin in the 18th century? To support local distilleries? To reduce beer imports, or was it to prevent the spread of disease? Drink gin because it reduces beer imports. It is math. What peculiar ingredient was once commonly used in early 20th century bread production? Was it wood pulp, fish scales, or crushed eggshells? They used wood pulp. What was the surprising reason why the first roller skates were considered dangerous? There was no way to turn, they could only roll backward, or they were made entirely of iron. There was no way to turn in them. Which historical event led to the accidental creation of the tea bag? Was it a shipwreck spilling tea in 1775, a merchant using silk pouches in 1908, or a military invention in 1863? It was a shipwreck spilling tea in 1775. In 1945, what odd object was accidentally patented as a toy? A military radar part, a failed adhesive experiment, or leftover bandage material? A failed adhesive experiment. What strange fashion trend in the 1920s was believed to bring good luck? Wearing mismatched shoes, painting nails with gold dust, or sewing tiny pockets into hats? It was sewing tiny pockets into hats. In the 19th century, what was once a common but highly questionable ingredient in children's medicine? Cocaine, radium, or crushed pearls? Cocaine. Highly questionable. Why did ancient Roman architects deliberately build their roads slightly curved? To confuse potential invaders, to aid in water drainage, or to reduce wind resistance for chariots? To aid in water drainage. What odd reason led to the banning of sliced bread in the U.S. during the 1940s? It was considered a luxury? It wasted too much wax paper? Or was it seen as a fire hazard? Sliced bread wasted too much wax paper. What bizarre medical treatment was commonly used in Victorian England for headaches? leech therapy, sniffing ammonia, or drinking mercury-laced tonic? Don't see any of them being a good idea. Sniffing ammonia is what they used. Okay. What unusual food item was once used as currency in ancient Rome? Were wheels of cheese money? Was salt money? Or was dried fish a currency in ancient Rome? Salt. What was a strange but popular method used to keep milk fresh before refrigeration? Dropping a frog in the milk? Burying milk in a clay pot? Or wrapping milk in wet paper? They dropped a frog in it. What unexpected reason caused the leaning of the Leaning Tower of Pisa? An underground river eroded it? One side had softer soil? Or did an architect miscalculate the weight? One side had softer soil. What was the original function of the small pocket inside the front pocket of jeans? Two-story pocket watch? To hold a miner's gold nugget? Or was it to keep a folded map? It was to store a pocket watch. Why did early vacuum cleaners require 2 people to operate them? Was it because it required manual air pumping? It was too heavy and needed pushing and pulling? Or one held the bag, the other used the hose? It required manual air pumping. What was the surprising original purpose of the now famous Post-it notes? A reusable bookmark? A low-tack adhesive for bulletin boards? Or a failed attempt at making a strong glue? It was a failed attempt at making a strong glue. But a weak one's useful. What odd superstition led people to put shoes on the walls of their homes in the 18th century? Was that to ward off spirits? Was it to absorb negative energy? Or did it bring good luck? It was to ward off evil spirits. In medieval England, what was the original reason why people placed coins inside Christmas puddings? Was that to ward off evil spirits? Was it to test the strength of one's teeth, which it would, or to symbolize wealth for the coming year? It symbolized wealth for the coming year. But be careful when you eat it. What unexpected reason led to the addition of holes in Swiss cheese? Bacteria-produced gas bubbles? A mistake in aging? Or was that a marketing strategy? It was about the bacteria producing gas bubbles. What peculiar ingredient was commonly used in women's makeup during the Renaissance period? Was it lead-based powder, crushed beetles, or charcoal mixed with vinegar? Which one did women use in makeup? It was lead-based powder. Good idea to give that up. In early days of television, what unusual practice did viewers sometimes have to perform to improve reception? Covering the TV with a damp cloth, holding the antenna still, or rubbing the screen with wool? Holding the antenna still. What was an unusual but common way people in the 1800s checked if bread was fresh? Listening to crackling sounds? Smelling for a fresh scent? Or tapping for a hollow sound? Tapping for a hollow sound. I still do that. What unexpected object was commonly used as an eraser before rubber erasers were invented? A piece of wet leather? A crustless bread? Or chalk dust mixed with vinegar? Crustless bread. Why did early car manufacturers recommend drivers wear goggles and long coats? To shield them from road dust? To prevent static buildup? or to avoid sunburn from reflections. That was to shield from road dust. In the Victorian era, why were bookshelves often designed with glass doors? Was that to stop insects from ruining pages? Was it to make books look valuable? Or to prevent fire from candlelight? That was to stop insects from ruining pages. What was an unexpected early use of peanut butter before it became a popular food spread? Was it to lubricate machinery? Was it an ingredient in shoe polish? Or a medicine for those who couldn't chew? It was a medicine for those who couldn't chew. Why did early typewriters include a QWERTY layout instead of arranging letters alphabetically? To stop metal arms from jamming? To slow typists and extend key life? Or to help Morse code operators switch? It was to stop metal arms from jamming. What strange reason led to the widespread belief that tomatoes were poisonous in the 1700s? Tomato acid made pewter toxic, animals avoided tomato plants, or they're rumored to be nightshade. The tomato acid made pewter toxic. In old-fashioned movie theaters, why was popcorn originally banned? Because the eating noise was distracting? And it is. The butter stained the seats? They do. Popcorn seemed low class? Maybe. It's because popcorn seemed low class. Well, then low class I am. What surprising ingredient did early ice cream makers use to keep the dessert frozen longer? Salt mixed with ice? Ground up oyster shells? Or a layer of honeycomb? They used salt mixed with ice. In the 1800s, what was an unexpected alternative to aspirin for pain relief? Chewing on willow bark? Drinking hot vinegar? Or rub wet newspaper on the forehead? Instead of aspirin, they chewed on willow bark. Why did 19th century doctors recommend people sleep with onions near their beds? Was that to absorb toxins? To deter pests? Or did that somehow aid in sleep? That was to absorb toxins. What unusual object did people once believe could be used to detect witches? A floating wooden chair? A sieve and a pair of scissors? Or a mirror covered in salt? They believed a sieve and a pair of scissors. Before electricity, what was an odd but effective method people used to keep houses warm in winter? Heated sand in sheets? Keeping a pig for warmth? Or burning orange peels? Odd but effective. Keeping a pig for warmth. Odd and effective. Why were early golf balls made with feathers? Feathers made balls fly farther? Golfers thought it improved accuracy? Or it was just copied from archery? Feathers made balls fly farther. I'll try it. In the early 1900s, why did some people believe that using a telephone could be dangerous? Did they fear electric shocks? Did they thought voices spread germs, or did they believe it harmed hearing? They thought voices spread germs. What surprising reason led to the invention of the vacuum cleaner? A janitor wanted to reduce dust? It was meant to blow air, not suck. It removes soot from gas lamps. It was meant to blow air, not suck it. In medieval Europe, what was an unusual method used to determine if someone was lying? Chewing and spitting out dry rice? Holding their breath until turning red? Or balancing a feather on their nose? Chewing and spitting out dry rice. Why were early soda fountains commonly found in pharmacies? Were they thought to have medicinal benefits? Were they used by pharmacists to draw customers, or were they made to dilute bitter medicine? They were thought to have medicinal benefits. What was an unexpected use for Coca-Cola when it was first introduced? It was sold as a headache remedy, it was used to clean rust off metal, or was it given to soldiers as an energy booster? It was sold as a headache remedy. In the 19th century, why did people carry small pomanders, perfume balls? It masked bad smells to avoid disease, hid scent from wild animals, or snuck into theaters unnoticed. Masked bad smells to avoid disease. What unusual feature did early electric cars in the 1910s have that modern ones don't? Did they have built-in makeup kits for women, foot-powered backup generators, or a dashboard gramophone player? They had built-in makeup kits for women. Before refrigerators, what was a common way people kept milk from spoiling? Did they put a frog in the milk? They crushed charcoal in the container? Or they hang jugs in cool water? They put a frog in the milk. What was an unexpected reason why early bicycles were nicknamed bone shakers? The metal wheels made rides bumpy, high front wheel caused falls, or the handlebars shook at high speeds? The metal wheels made rides bumpy. In ancient Rome, why did some wealthy people wear shoes with tiny iron nails embedded in the soles? The unique footprints to prevent identity theft, distinct sound to show social status, or extra grip on marble floors? The distinct sound to show social status. What was an unusual reason why early airplanes were sometimes painted bright yellow? It was easier to spot after crashes, the paint repelled birds, or yellow reduced motion sickness? The bright yellow was easier to spot after crashes. Why did ancient Egyptian pharaohs have their servants covered in honey? Did it draw flies away from the ruler, make skin shine in ceremonies, or mask body odor in heat? It drew the flies away from the ruler. What unusual item did some Renaissance artists mix into their paint for better texture? Egg yolks, crushed seashells, or fine sand from riverbanks? They used egg yolks. Why did some medieval castles have toilets that emptied directly into the moat? To stop fires from spreading, to fertilize nearby farmland, or as an extra defense against enemies? It was an extra defense against enemies. What surprising ingredient was once used in early chewing gum? The spruce tree sap, the crushed seashell powder, or honeycomb wax? They used spruce tree sap. Why did early movie theaters employ cinema screamers? The scream to heighten audience reaction, to announce intermission loudly, or to scare off popcorn-loving rats? Screaming to heighten audience reaction. What was an unusual reason why pirates wore earrings? The gold earrings improved eyesight, the metal paid for their burial at sea, or the weight helped balance on rough waters? They wore them to pay for their burial at sea. Why did people in the 1800s sprinkle sawdust on bar floors? Did it hide alcohol odors? Did it soften boot noises on wood? Or did it absorb spilled drinks to prevent slipping? It absorbed spilled drinks to prevent slipping. In the early days of photography, why did people rarely smile in portraits? The long exposures made smiling difficult, smiling was seen as improper, or the photographers disliked distorted faces. Long exposures made smiling difficult. What odd method did people once use to straighten their hair before modern irons? Did they flatten it with hot glass plates? Did they iron it like clothes? Or did they press it under wood overnight? They ironed it just like clothes. Why were forks originally rejected in Europe when they were first introduced? Were they seen as too fancy for commoners? Did the church call them the devil's tool? Or did nobles fear they'd slow dining? The church called them the devil's tool. What was an unexpected reason why early hot air balloons were first launched with animals on board? To test if animals survived height? People thought they sensed air currents, or the inventors feared balloons were unsafe. To test if animals survived height. Why did some ancient Roman statues have removable heads? To swap them if rulers lost favor, for easier transport, or to hide secret messages? To swap them if the rulers lost favor. What was an unusual reason why old movie theaters used red curtains? Did red reduce glare? Did it boost excitement? Or did it hide dirt and wear? They hid dirt and wear and tear. In the 1960s, what did some families do when watching TV to improve picture quality? Did they wrap foil on the antenna, light a candle near the screen, or tap the TV 3 times? They wrapped foil on the antenna. In the early 1900s, why were some baby carriages designed with cage-like structures? To get fresh air for babies, to keep animals out, or to deter kidnappers? They had cage-like structures so the babies could get fresh air. What was an unexpected way some medieval soldiers protected their castles? Did they drop beehives on invaders? Did they blast loud music? Or did they grease the castle walls? They dropped beehives on invaders. Why did people in the Victorian era put bells inside coffins? Was that to avoid accidental burial? Was that a symbol of spiritual awakening? Or was that to notify gravekeepers of funerals? That was to avoid accidental burial. Why did early submarines have a small tank filled with live fish? To detect water pressure changes, as an emergency food source, or a gas leak detector? They had a tank of fish to detect water pressure changes. What was an unusual reason why ice cream sundaes were invented? Was that to avoid Sunday soda bans, to boost winter cream sales, or to use melted ice cream? And that was to avoid Sunday soda bans. In the early 1900s, why were some bridges painted black? To hide soot from trains? To stop birds from nesting? Or to absorb heat and strengthen metal? That was to hide soot from trains. Why did ancient Egyptians shave their eyebrows when their cats died? Was that a sign of mourning, to prevent fleas from spreading, or to symbolize a fresh start in life? What do you do when your pet cat dies? You shave your eyebrows as a sign of mourning. What was an unexpected reason why early roller coasters were built in America? Was that to train for fast vehicles, to mimic horseback riding, or to keep people out of saloons? They built those things to keep people out of saloons. Did it work? Why did some medieval knights put snails on their helmets? Was that a symbol of patience? Was that to prevent rust? Or was that as a sign of surrender? It was a symbol of patience. What surprising reason led to the creation of the first sunglasses? Was it to protect sailors' eyes? Was it to hide judges' expressions? Or did it help miners see in the dark? That was to hide judges' expressions. Why did ancient Greeks exercise in the nude at public gyms? Was it to honor the gods? Was it a status symbol for the wealthy? Or did they believe clothing restricted movement? It was to honor the gods. What unusual reason made some 19th century pianos extremely expensive? Did they use real ivory keys from tusks? Or wood soaked in perfume? Or were there hidden compartments for valuables? They used real ivory keys from tusks. Why did early cars have crank starters instead of keys? Was that because of weak batteries? Was that because keys weren't safe? Or did drivers just like manual starting? It was because those early batteries were weak. Why were early banknotes larger than the ones we use today? Was that to stop counterfeiting? Was it to save paper? Or was it to make them look like contracts? That was to stop counterfeiting. What surprising reason caused the invention of lipstick? Was it to ward off spirits? Did it show status? Or was it to prevent chapped lips? The surprising reason lipstick was invented was to show status. Why did some medieval doctors carry hollowed-out canes? Were they used for storing medicine? Did they hide surgical tools? Or did they smell perfume during plagues? To smell perfume during plagues. Why did some early vacuum cleaners require two people to operate? Were they too heavy to operate alone? Did they need air pressure adjustment? Or was it so one could crank and the other could move the hose? It was so one could crank and the other to move the hose. What was an unexpected reason why early bicycles were called bone shakers? There was no cushions for posture? They used to toughen soldiers? Or the wooden wheels made rides rough? The wooden wheels made rides rough. Why did some medieval monks invent beer brewing techniques? Was it a safe alternative to bad water? Was it used in fasting rituals? Or did it preserve excess grain? It was a safe alternative to bad water. Why did early toasters only toast one side of the bread at a time? Was it because of weak electricity? Was it inspired by campfire roasting? Or was it preferred for open-faced sandwiches? It was because of weak electricity. What was an unusual reason why some ancient Roman roads were slightly curved? Was it to drain water in heavy rain? Did it follow old footpaths? Or did it prevent straight enemy charges? It was to drain water in heavy rain. Why were early diving suits made with metal helmets? To handle deep water pressure? They were thought to deter sea creatures, or they were first used in mining. to handle deep water pressure. Why did some 18th century doctors prescribe chocolate as medicine? Was that to cure stomach ailments, boost intelligence, or mask bitter medicine? It was used to cure stomach ailments. What was an unexpected reason why early skyscrapers had setbacks, step designs? To let sunlight reach the streets? To reduce wind turbulence? Or for stability, like pyramids? It was to let sunlight reach the streets. Why did some medieval churches have small doors built within larger doors? Was that to control crowd entry? Was that to prevent animal entry? Or did it force visitors to bow? It forced visitors to bow. What was an unexpected reason why early newspapers had narrow columns? Was it to make them easier to hold? For faster printing? Or did it reduce paper waste? It made them easier to hold. Why did some Victorian-era dresses have hidden pockets in their skirts? To carry valuables discreetly? They were designed for smuggling, or it was a fashion symbol of independence? To carry valuables discreetly. What surprising reason led to the creation of the first public libraries? Were they to educate factory workers? Because wealthy collectors shared books? Or to encourage good behavior? They were created to educate factory workers. Why were early movie cameras hand-cranked instead of electric? Was that because electricity wasn't reliable? The directors preferred manual control, or they were based on sewing machines? Electricity wasn't reliable. Why did some 19th century opera houses have elaborate chandeliers? Was that to reflect more light before electricity? It was believed to improve acoustics? Or was it a status symbol for wealthy patrons? It was to reflect more light before electricity. What was an unexpected reason why the Statue of Liberty turned green? Was it because copper reacted with air? Fireworks caused chemical changes? Or painted green as a symbol of hope? The copper reacted with air. Why did some medieval castles have spiral staircases that twisted to the right? Was it so the right-handed defender had an advantage? To prevent quick advances? Or to align with Earth's energy? It was so the right-handed defender would have the advantage. Why did early spacesuits have tubes connected to their gloves? Was that for oxygen for finger mobility? Was it for hands-free water drinking? Or to regulate hand temperature? They were used to regulate hand temperature. Why did some medieval towns build fake houses along their walls? Was that to confuse enemy attackers? To make the town look wealthier? Or were those hiding places during invasions? They built fake houses to confuse enemy attackers. What surprising reason led to the invention of Velcro? Was it inspired by burrs on dog fur? It was developed for astronauts? Or mountaineers needed an alternative? It was inspired by burrs on dog fur. And now, question 100. Why were early pencils designed without erasers? The erasers were sold separately. People wrote and didn't make mistakes. Graphite didn't need erasing. Why did they not have erasers on them? because people wrote without mistakes. All right, you did a great job. Thanks for playing Quiz Time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and share your score in the comments below, please. And check out these videos. They're a lot of fun too. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.